this class was a class that I requested, so it wasn't originally going to be in the schedule. So they had this room. All right, everyone. Welcome to Cal 3. I'm Robert DiGiovanni. I have placed a significant amount of material in the Canvas page for you. Most importantly, I did a quick, 16-minute orientation video with me going through the syllabus and explaining some of the details of the class as far as, requirements, textbook, all that stuff. And so I'm not going to take any time today going over the syllabus. What I will hand you is your first quiz. Don't be too afraid. The first quiz, let me pass it out and you can look at it and you'll see what I'm talking about here. 2, 3. By the way, I'm recording my voice and everything that you see on the screen. Okay? That will all be posted to YouTube sometime within the next 24 hours. So everything that I do in class, you'll be able to go back and reference. All my notes, everything I do on this tablet will be projected here, and you'll see. All right? So I don't understand. I got a new phone, and I put it on silent, but it keeps on all my reminders I hear. So I don't get it, but I'll figure it out. So I apologize. All right, so here's the first quiz. Pretty self-explanatory, but I'm doing something I've never done as far as grades are concerned. Hey, what's up? Wasn't expecting you. Here you go. So this is something I'm going to try. I've never done it, and so I thought it was important to have you sign off on it so that you understand it. We are going to have take-home exams of, not all of them, okay? But we're going to have anywhere between 5 and 8, and that could change. You could wind up with 10. It just depends. My plan is to give one that's due 2 weeks later. So every 2 weeks you'll have a take-home exam. When I hand it out initially, there will be stuff on it that you might be able to do, and there will be stuff that we haven't covered. So, it's kind of like as we go, you'll be able to complete things. Those exams are worth part of your grade. Then there's only 2 in-class exams, a midterm and a final. The midterm's only an hour, 40 minutes. So there's only a limited amount of time to test you on material. And then the final's 2 hours, 45 minutes. So I can get a lot more on a final than I can on an in-class test. Now, the way things are weighted in the class depends entirely on how you do on the final. That's where things are weird. There's basically 2 roads. If you do decent on the final, which is a 50 or higher on the final, then your take-home stuff's worth 40%. The midterm's 25 and the final's 35. All right, so that's like almost half of your grade is take-home material. Now, if you do poorly on the final, Cal 3? Okay. If you do poorly on the final, and to me, I guess poorly means less than or equal to a 50, then everything changes. Your take-home stuff doesn't mean much to me because you've shown on the final you don't know a lot of this material. So what you did at home doesn't really impress me as much. The midterm's worth more and the final's worth more. And if you work the math out on it, I believe if you get less than a 50 on the final, you can't pass the class. So this is just kind of a really weird way of me making sure that nobody passes that can't get a 50 on the final. Does that make sense? Okay. Does that make sense or not? Because if I just walk in here and I say, hey, look, everyone, if you don't pass the final, you can't pass the class, then that means your final has to be worth 100% of the grade. And that just, that's absurd. So this at least gives me a little more flexibility, all right? Does that make sense to everyone? Just do decent on the final, and you'll be okay, all right? If anyone wants to leave now, they can. All right, so that's your first quiz. I'll expect this when we meet. It says on here the due date is the 27th, which is Monday. Turn this in. I'm going to keep it on record. In case at the end of the semester we have some huge blow up and you're all upset about your grade, I'll say you signed it and you agreed to it. Now, if you have questions, you can let me know and I can talk through it, okay? Now, What will be on the midterm, what will be on the final is yet to be determined. The final may only cover from the midterm on. The final may cover the entire course. We really can't, I can't say anything on that. I don't want to lock us in on anything, because if y'all do pretty well on the midterm, I don't see any need to put any of that material on the final. So, but I need a good class average. So this is where, like, it matters that your neighbors do well too, which kind of sucks sometimes, but you know. Okay, Garrett came in. Let's see, Derek's here, and Andre. Okay, so everyone's here. Very good. All right, the next bit of material that I have to hand out to you is the schedule. Now, this schedule just recently was updated. This is kind of a layout day by day, blow by blow, the way things are going to happen. And this is a tentative schedule, which means that it's subject to change. If we slow down, hand those straight back. And if we speed up, we speed up. There should be enough there. The orientation video that you're supposed to watch is right here. Okay. Extra? Is there enough? Okay. The orientation video is here. There's a link to the syllabus. All right. So you need to do those. That's what you'll sign off on. In the syllabus, there's this schedule, and it lays it out day by day as best as I can. Cal 3 is a pretty fluid course. You know, sometimes if people get the material, we just keep going. If we get hung up on something, then we slow down a little bit. It's a packed course, though. I mean, if you took Cal 2, which everyone should have, then you probably realize that, you know, there's a lot of material that can be crammed into one semester, right? I know in my Cal 2, we finished sequences and series. We did some polar coordinates, but we didn't get too heavy into polar because we ran out of time. But I do expect that everyone has seen sequences, series. It won't kill you if you haven't in this course, but you know, the expectation is that you did. We are going to use this book. This is the second edition of Stewart's Essential Calculus. If you have the first edition, there's not a whole lot of difference, but it's on you to make sure that you're doing the right problems and you know, that things match up, okay? So look, mine's red at the bottom because it's the instructor copy. So what our plan is here in this class is to finish the book, okay? So we're going to do chapter 10, chapter 11, chapter 12, and chapter 13. And then what I did is I left the slot here on the side for you to put homework assignments. Usually what I do is I don't assign homework until I know that we've covered the material. So it'll usually be within the lecture. I'll tell you what to do. All right, I don't pre-assign it. We good? Okay, now once you watch the orientation video, you'll realize that in here I have notes that go with what I'm going to do in class. So I'm going to be working through notes, presenting them, projecting them, and what I've done is I have printed you the first 2 sections of notes. You do not have to print my notes out. All right, but if I'm moving through them in class, I'm not going to give you time to write a definition down. I'm not going to give you time to write down, you know, we're not going to waste time writing definitions and theorems and things like that. We're just going to look at them and move on. So if you have these printed, it's probably advantageous, but there's a lot of paper involved here. So I would understand if you don't want to do that. If you have a laptop, and you want to bring it to class and use your laptop and look at that, well, instead, you can do that because I supply them, you know, electronically, so feel free to do that. So here are the first sets of notes. I'm just going to do 2 stacks. Let's just pass these around. These might take a little. That's 10.1. And then 10.2, which is coming around next, was so big that I actually printed 2 pages per sheet, double-sided, but the printer would not cooperate with me, so the way this is all stapled together is kind of awkward. You'll see once you get it. But you can follow, I think you can follow. You all passed Cal 2. I'm pretty sure you can follow the order of this thing. Everyone's good? Everyone has 10.2? All right. So what I'm going to do now, unless there's any questions, no? I'm going to start. I thought I was going to start. Where'd it go? I use a program called Mathematica to do everything in this class pretty much. I don't know if I double-click that. There we go. And as you're going to see, the reason I use Mathematica is because we can do three-dimensional visualization, which if you talk about, what's Calculus 3, it's a lot of Cal 1 and 2 in three-dimensional space. So what makes this class challenging in a traditional setting is the fact that if I had to draw three-dimensional objects on a flat piece of paper, then how good I am is going to be, that's going to correlate to how well you learn it. And when I was in Cal 3, the professor I had was really good at drawing. The problem was he didn't draw big enough. So I was in an auditorium, and so he's drawing three-dimensional stuff like this and, talking about surfaces, and I'm sitting way in the back going, what the hell is that? So I use the Mathematica so that you can, we just let the technology do the 3D stuff for us. And everything that I have here, everything that I show you, you can go to our Canvas page, you can download the file, you can get the free player off Mathematica's website, Wolfram's website, and you'll be able to do everything I do in class, move things around. It's all in the orientation video, all right, but just kind of getting you warmed up to it. So we're going to start with 3D coordinate system. So we start off, we live in three-dimensional space, right? But before we can start talking 3D, let's make sure we all understand, what things meant and get some notation down. When we say we have a point in one-dimensional space, we say R1, right? We have, where's my pen? Oh, there it is. We use this